Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome to the show. Like always, hit like and subscribe. You guys know what's what, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite average to good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Chuckwagon Davies and Big Tones Tony Meola, and we have a giant, huge, gigantic show for you today. We're talking about our goalkeepers. We have a goalkeeper crisis, everyone. Who's going to play in between the six for the U.S.? MLS just dropped the schedule for 2025. Is Leo Messi coming to a stadium near you? And Timo Weah got hurt. They're shutting him down until 2025. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that part, but hopefully he gets well soon. Well, let's get to Chuck. Chuck, you've been talking soccer all day on the Golasso Network.
All day.
How are you doing? All day, every day.
I'm good. my lower back's a little stiff, but no, I'm good. I'm excited. You know I love this show, so I can already see the comments starting to come in. Let's go. And I like this comment. David Toscano Media. Revs are cooking, Chuck Wagon. The Revs are making moves.
They did. They actually made a big trade with Inter Miami. Leo Campana is coming to their squad, and in return, I think Miami gets some gam or tam or green eggs and ham. Listen, they're making up rules as they go. That's part of MLS. That is a lot. That is $2.5 million is a lot, and that could give them room to sign potentially Neymar. Big Tones. That would be pretty ridiculous in terms of being names on the name sheet. You know, starting 11, you see all the names, but these guys, can they move anymore? Is he damaged goods? What are we saying?
I don't. Does anyone know? Does anyone know what's going on with rehab or whatever's happening? And by the way, just so you know, they didn't really need to make a trade if they wanted to sign Neymar. They'd have figured out a way to get it done because that's what they do. I think it's a good move for New England, although $2.5 million over I think the course of 3 years, right, is a lot of gam. This one's gam, right? Not tam.
Gam.
I think we're on gam on this one.
Gamming it up. Yeah.
But
you know, you sign Campana for that type of money, and you have a DP at the striker position. So what does that mean for Giacomo Brioni? Are you moving on from him? Are you keeping him? I think that's the next domino to fall, right?
Chuck, tap the brakes. Caleb Porter's got it all figured out. All right, let's talk about our goalkeeper crisis, everyone. Because Matt Turner, who plays for Crystal Palace, I mean, I'll use the word play pretty loosely. He's only actually started for them once. He's played, I don't know what, one game at the club level in 9-10 months, something crazy. Can't even get a start for Palace in their cup run, the Carabao Cup. They take on Arsenal. They end up losing 3-2. Chris Richards doesn't start this game. And Mauricio Pochettino was there to scout, I assume, Chris Richards, assuming they were going to get a run in the cup, and Matt Turner. Neither one of them play or get off the bench. That's not great. Matt Turner's stats here, 2024. He has started 6 times in 2024, 570 minutes, 25 saves, 77% save percentage, 1 clean sheet. Now for the U.S., he's got double those over 2024. It's like old school U.S. women's national team where they didn't have a league to play in, so they just played like 3,000 U.S. women's national team games and didn't have really any club stuff. But now that's Matt Turner at the moment. We're getting more reps with his national team. Big Tones, make this make sense for us.
Yeah,
because
go ahead, Tones.
I don't know what to do. I mean, Horvath isn't playing. Slonina's not playing. Diego Coquin's playing in the third level in Spain for Barcelona B.
Yeah, time to cook, Tony.
What do we do here?
Yeah.
Like, what do you advise Matt Turner to do, or any of the goalkeepers? Because this position feels wide open.
Yeah, well, first off, I pulled some stuff up here. Matt's last club match was October 30th, the 2-1 win in the AFL Cup over Aston Villa, right? That's October 30th.
He could have done better in that first goal too, right? I mean, is that why they didn't go with him again? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because you're talking about October 30th. We're almost 2 months removed from that, at least 6 weeks removed from that,
this
right?
Was a move of desperation because they wanted to win. So
yeah.
And I'm playing my best players.
Yeah, because they may not win anything. So this is an opportunity. Slonina's still hurt. Doesn't look like he's going to be out. He's going to be ready until the middle of January at a minimum. So he played 11 games. He conceded 16 goals in those 11 games in League One. He had 3 games played in the EFL Cup. Of course, the one we remember is that 7-0 drubbing for Manchester United. He's been injured since the 8th of, so about 5 weeks now, 8th of November. He got benched, though, the game before that. Then he gets injured during the week. Since then, they've been 3 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws. So I don't know what that looks like when he gets back. They're currently in 7th place, though, in League One. And then Ethan Horvath, I started my sheet's almost blank here. He's got 4 games played at the beginning of the season, and then it's been his last match was also on the 31st. 16 games in a row on the bench. And
do we not call it, Tony? Do we not say this was a terrible move? A terrible move.
For who? Horvath and Turner? And
more so Turner.
No, I get you.
And I understand you just wanted to get the hell out of Nottingham Forest because you had absolutely no chance no matter what. So you go to Crystal Palace, you say, okay, the only way I'm going to play is if Henderson gets injured or there's a suspension. But I'm the number 2, and they're going to pick up my wages, right? So it's kind of a win-win, but it's not because you're not going to play at all. And we've discussed this. Matt Turner come January, and it's difficult. I don't know how this happens if you're on loan. How do you make another move in January when you're on loan? So I think his best option is come the summer. You got to go to a place where you're guaranteed to play, where you're brought in as the number 1.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're getting a nice segue into Tones. Yeah. What I want to ask you again as a resident goalkeeper, excuse me, and always our number 1. I should say resident number 1 in our hearts, number 1 on New Jersey, Big Tones. But if you're Mauricio Pochettino, yeah, of course you're going to be kind of trying to understand the landscape for Matt Turner based on what Chuck said, right? He's on the loan. I don't know how easy it's going to be for him to leave in January. I'm sure Palace doesn't want to go look for a backup to do that extra work to find a backup if they think he's adequate. But what do you tell him to do in the summer? Let's just get ahead of ourselves, get into some hypothetical. If he's not playing, doesn't look like he will be, unless there's an injury to Dean Henderson. He's not playing in the summer. It makes it seem like Matt Turner doesn't want to leave Europe. Okay, I get that. I get the pull. I get the understanding and want to play in the Premier League. I get all that. But he needs to play minutes. And so this is where it gets into crunch time. What do you tell Matt Turner? Do you tell him to come back to MLS? Do you tell him to go back to Portugal or an Eredivisie? Like, what would you advise him to do?
Well, I think it's easier for him to stay in Europe, right? He's there. There's a boatload of teams. He fancies himself as a Premier League goalkeeper, but Premier League managers are not seeing it that way. Clearly, right? They're seeing him as a backup, and that's what he's basically been since he's been there. He's had a short opportunity where it didn't go so well. So I don't think he has to come back to MLS unless he wants to. And then he knows he's going to play games. Here's the thing, and we said this after the Jamaica. We talked about Matt Turner, and this is the thing I can't get over. I can't get past, I should say, in my head. However well you play, whether it's Gio coming in next camp and playing well, whether it was Matt Turner in the last camp playing well, and he was Pochettino's guy. He's been for 4 games now. I can only wonder how much better you can play if you're playing every week, right? It just makes me wonder, okay, whatever your level is. So you were an 8 this week. I can't help but think if you're playing week in and week out,
Tony,
could you be a 9 in the game, right? And that's where I get caught up. But from a goalkeeping standpoint, it's a rhythm, and I didn't go through it in my career. I felt terrible, Chuck, missing 1 week because I felt like if I missed 1 week, I was so far out of rhythm. Imagine you're missing what I'd say he was missed 12 games on the bench in a row now. I just don't know how you can feel part of it.
Ultimately, I would agree with you in 100 out of 100 cases, right? There are exceptions. The only caveat here is Matt Turner played in a World Cup in the same situation where my man did not play at all towards the end of that season. Yeah, he played some FA Cup games
in the fall. He had 8 games in the fall leading up to the World Cup.
But there weren't many games leading right into the World Cup. He wasn't in a rhythm or anything like that. And my man, he balled out in the World Cup. He played really well.
Did he want to take that chance again?
No, hell no. But I'm saying, look at the depth in this position. So the exception here is, one, he's already done it, not playing regular minutes, which I don't agree with. And we know come summer, having spoken to Matt Turner, he knows he has to play going into a World Cup. So he has a European passport. That's a big help, which means he can play anywhere in Europe. and it not being looked at as, oh, you're an American, you're taking up a foreign roster designation in some cases, or you have to be paid a certain number because you're not in the EU. So that helps him mightily. I think the Bundesliga is probably the best fit for him because you're in a super competitive league. You just have to go to the right club. We saw Zach Steffen. He did really well when he went to the Bundesliga, and he was a backup at Manchester City. So I could see that being the next spot for him. But ultimately, this position is so damn weak. When you talk about emergency, like, this is a damn travesty that this is so bad.
Especially given our history,
4,
Chuck. Our history, like we produce world-class goalkeepers. We're sitting talking with one right now, and we can't necessarily say that we have the same type of depth than we've ever had. I mean, I played with Nick Raimondo in college back in the day. You could tell that he had something special, and obviously he proved it during his career. That guy was our third goalkeeper for our national team. He couldn't even get us. I mean, that's just how good
he was. Maybe 4th or 5th.
Exactly. We were just so deep, and now we're just not as deep, and that is interesting. I did find a team in the Bundesliga. Stuttgart is giving up 24 goals in 14 games. Alexander Nubel is in goal. Been bang average this season. I feel like finding a team. They're 6th right now in the table, so it's not like they're a good team. They're competitive. That could be. I'm just saying, like, that would be a good spot, I think, where you could go and at least be competitive for the number 1 spot and get a chance of a real look. So I think the Bundesliga is a great shout, Chuck.
Serie A might not be bad, although the crop right now in Serie A is pretty strong, but I'm sure he can find a Serie A team to go to and play. Bundesliga would be great.
Liga, about going Bundesliga, La Liga, for instance.
How about Liga? Also, Chuck, how about you make Schmeichel's there, but how about you go to like a Celtic or a Ranger, right, where you're at least playing every week. It's an atmosphere every week. It's intense. As a goalkeeper, in a lot of cases, it doesn't, the play is a little bit different. You're just looking for shots. You're looking for shots. You're looking for crosses. You're looking for plays to make. But he clearly, he wants to be in the Premier League. He has to have somebody that's convinced that he's a Premier League goalkeeper to play.
Tony, he knows that the Premier League at the moment it's not for him, because you get labeled real quick in that league. Whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, if you don't have success right away and you go to another place and you don't have success, and then you go to another place and you don't have success, guess what? No team's going to take a chance, and you're not going to the championship. You don't go from Arsenal to Nottingham Forest to Crystal Palace and then you go to the championship. Hell no. You get out of England and you go to Bundesliga, you go to Liga. I like the Celtic Rangers shout because you still play European competition, so that checks that box. I'd love for him to maybe go a step back, and maybe you're not playing in the most competitive league. Maybe you're playing in the 6th, 7th, 8th, but you're still one of the top teams in those leagues.
The guy just needs reps under pressure. That's essentially what he needs.
Yes.
He needs reps under pressure.
100%.
And practice isn't enough for him to make that happen. All right, let's take a look at the American goalkeepers with the most club minutes since August 1st. Okay, and number 1 on that list is our very own Zach Steffen with 1,440 minutes. Matt Freese is 2nd NYCFC goalkeeper. FC Cincinnati's Roman Celentano is 3rd. Brad Guzan, shout out to the old guys. He's like the one remaining player in MLS that I played with, so shout out to Brad Guzan. John McCarthy, LA Galaxy, 1,260. Drake Callender, 1,260. These are all competitions. So this is basically our MLS list. Yeah, of course. Now I use that as a segue, though, Chuck, into the January camp. And is this a possibility for one of these guys to just stand on their head, make a shit ton of saves, be awesome in the 2 games against Venezuela and Costa Rica, and maybe just start to be part of the conversation? That's all you want out of January camp if you're a player. I just want to see if I can be part of the bigger conversation. Tones, out of those ones that I listed, do you think any of them potentially have a chance to create a spark and maybe get into at least the top 3 goalkeepers?
I mean, out of that group that you just put up there, the one that stuck out to me this year was Matt Freese. I thought he had a great year, but he didn't get recognized for anything, right? And I don't want to look at the awards, but reality is he didn't get recognized. There's not. Are you looking, when you ask this question, are you looking for a starting goalkeeper out of there? Because I don't see a World Cup starting goalkeeper in that group, right? So if you're telling me we're looking for a third goalkeeper, okay, let's bring a couple of those guys in and let's see what they do. And you're looking for your third goalkeeper. But I don't see it in that group. Zach Steffen, he had that run during the the Leagues Cup, a couple shootout penalty kick wins. I mean, he didn't have a good season, period. He would be the guy that you would look at because of his experience and go, okay, that might be a guy that you bring in. Was Schulte on their list, or did he not? Was he injured for a little while?
He wasn't on that list. He was injured.
So
Stefan Fries, Standards had the best defense in the league. Yeah, Stefan Fries eligible.
But he's how old is Stefan Fries?
He's older now. I know.
37 or something. Right?
He's been so
36.
good for so long.
He has, and I don't think he's ever won anything. Stefan Fries, like he's won championships. I don't think he's ever won an award or anything. In his career, I feel like
give him a shout out. Chuck's rolling his eyes, so I'm just giving him a shout out because I just think he's.
He's not.
I don't know where you're going.
There's nowhere I'm going.
Some of these names.
There's nowhere I'm going. I'm having a conversation. Chuck, we have to grasp at straws.
They should be at the U.S. men's national team.
I'm saying that at the January camp, let's roll the dice and see what we got. Let's get the young kids in there. Let's get some of the old heads and battle it out, gladiator style. Whoever plays well, get them in the team. And if they play well against Venezuela, Costa Rica, then they take that next step. We're talking about Horvath, and Slonina, and Cochin, and Matt Turner. Dude, these guys aren't playing. So, what's the solution? Why not give somebody a chance then? If they're not going to get a chance now, Chuck, they're never going to get one.
Well, somebody's got to play in January, right? Someone's got to get a game.
Of those keepers, Matt Freese is the youngest who showed the most potential and was most consistent.
Well, then let's get him into the team and give him some
Patrick
minutes.
Schulte, we've seen who still makes mistakes. He's mistake prone in terms of balls at his feet and trying to play out of the back. And if Pochettino wants to do that, I think it's been made pretty clear that Pochettino thinks that Matt Turner is his number one and trusts Matt Turner. You can see it in every damn game Matt Turner plays. He's the first cheerleader to go, and something that could be so simple and basic that not in a million years would a European coach go, yeah, great job, Matt Turner. He's making it a point to say, hey, I'm back. I'm with you. I'm giving you that confidence, right? So
is that a good thing for us?
No, it ain't a good thing.
Thank God he made that
pass. It's the reality.
Oh,
it's the reality.
He made a save.
I'm with you. I agree with you 100%. It is reality. You're right. I'm just wondering if it's a good thing. If we're like, because I feel like then we set the bar a little bit lower, and then we're like,
Jimmy's throwing out keepers who are 45. I mean, how low
I
is
just
the bar
wanted to give him
right
a
now?
shout out, dude. We have a platform. I wanted to give him some love. Get off my back, Chuck. Listen. I will say though,
38, by the way, Chuck.
Yeah, I know. I just play.
Based on the situation. If I should say a year from now, if we're in the same situation and Matt Turner isn't playing and nobody's playing, we are in shitsville. Now, I agree with you, Chuck, ultimately that Matt Turner has the experience and has demonstrated that he can get up for a big game and make key saves and timely saves without having to have that day in, day out club experience. And obviously he's cutting his teeth and playing against some pretty good players on the regular practice, but still. Cutting your teeth, getting reps under pressure. You just can't replicate that just with practice.
No.
I don't know.
I see a lot of Brad Guzan shouts in the chats.
Bald beauty right there. Gotta love
Bald
him.
beauty. But
he stepped up. He was unreal in the playoffs for Atlanta.
He was great in the playoffs.
He was
man.
lights out. But I'll tell you right now, he didn't even say, I'm too old for that. I got to focus on my club career. And
I think if you asked Brad, he would say no. He'd be like, no, the national team's past me. You know why? Because he was at the national team level. Like he was at that level and knows that he's probably past that level. So I think he would say no. He would question it. I think if they asked him to come in, he would come in because you go in for the national team, right?
Yeah, he's like serving duty. Like I'm here to serve.
Right.
I know I'm past it.
Right.
So really quick, just to put a button on this, I do want to, if with the January camp, I know it doesn't fall into the FIFA window, but do you think it's worth having a conversation to bring Diego Cochin in just to get him a couple more or 10 to 14 days and maybe giving him a game or two just to see if this kid is somebody we can rely on, or do you feel like he's still too young? He's more 20, 30 big tones. Where are you on that?
We were 12 games into Gaga Slonina playing and trying to figure out his game, and we're like, no, he's playing in the third tier. So now we're going to go to Cochin, who's 18 years old, and go, he's playing in the third tier. That just
Slonina's hurt right now. So I'm just
no. I'm saying when he wasn't hurt. When he wasn't hurt, right? So He's playing in the third tier there, but I could see those guys coming in. I don't know what Pochettino's relationship is. I don't know their schedules, but we can't make the argument one way and then when it's another player make the argument the other way. You know what I mean? So
the only difference is he's at a club like Barcelona and he still trains with the first team.
Yeah, no, I get it.
He's at Barcelona. He's training with the first team.
He's played 8 games in the under 21s, right? So that's what we're hoping for our national team goalkeeper. That's where I get stuck, because I remember, as probably our
Tony, how you feeling now though? How you feeling? You feel limber? You think you could
start stretching?
Well, for a camp? I told Jim before he came on. I watched Man United against Tottenham today. I said, I literally go, man, maybe there's a chance I could do as bad as that. I can be that bad too. But it's a weird. We're in a weird time because as so many think about the reverse. How many years did we go? Who the hell is going to be our left back? Like. Who we have like a left back that we're talking about potentially being a top 5 left back in the world. We never talked about when we talked about goalkeepers, like, okay, which one of these 3 is going to win the starting job, man? Right? Like who's the coaches? He's got a tough decision. The decision now is tough, right? And who you bring in these 3. With the roles have been reversed. We couldn't find a left back forever, and we had goalkeepers coming out of our ears, and now it's totally reversed right now.
Yeah, now we're thin in center backs and goalkeepers, and yikes.
Crazy.
Lots of fun, lots to talk about as always. All right, we're going to take our first break of Call What You Want. When we come back, little MLS scheduling conversation. I know that doesn't sound that sexy when you say that out loud, but I promise it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't go anywhere.
Baby, we are going to start a fire.
From world-renowned clubs
simply devastating
to worldwide stars.
Wrexham have done it. This incredible ride continues.
The English Football League on CBS Sports Network, and stream every match live on Paramount Plus.
Okay, all right. Call What You Want, squad. I didn't say this at the beginning, saved it here for the second segment, but we need your help. We've been nominated for Best Team Podcast in the Sports Podcast Awards, and your votes could make all the difference. No pressure. If you love the show and want to see us take home the trophy so we can go from average to good to greats, head to the link in the show notes. There's a QR code over by Chuck's head, and it only takes a few seconds. It could help us officially solidify this as the best podcast, the best average to good podcast in your lifetime. Okay, just want to make that out there. So let's show them, everybody. Let's go make that happen. Welcome back in. I'm Jimmy alongside
Chuck works.
And Big
The thing works.
It does work. It works.
Scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see Call It What You Want. There you go. That code works, by the way.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. I already voted.
I'm learning. I
have
Chuck.
no shame in voting for myself. So we are definitely getting after it. Okay, let's get into it. MLS schedule 2025 unveiled. Going to get into some key dates. MLS is back, baby. Opening weekend, February 22nd and 23rd. That's pretty early. I remember the days, Big Tones.
Really early.
We started, like April? And then ended in October? Yeah. That was amazing. But of course, I was making $24K a year as a rookie. So that's probably not even that great for $24K. Okay, regular rivalry week, May 14th through the 18th. We got regular season is going to pause from June 15th to the 24th. MLS All-Star Game, July 23rd. Hopefully everybody's writing this down. Leagues Cup play is going to go from July 29th to August 31st. And right now, what we're hearing is that the season is going to continue and Leagues Cup games are going to be in the midweek. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We don't know all the details as of yet. We'll keep you updated. Decision day, last day of the regular season, October 18th. The main takeaways from the schedule: 34 regular season games, 17 home, 17 away. You'll play everybody in your conference twice. You'll play 6 different cross-conference opponents. There will be a featured game on Sunday. So a game of the week will be happening on Sunday. And then Leagues Cup. Yeah, Leagues Cup will be decided, as I mentioned, during the midweek. Do you guys have any other intel that you'd like to share about the schedule that maybe I didn't mention?
Go ahead,
I
Tony.
think they're thinking about playing not only the game of the week but playing Saturday Sunday games. So they stretch this thing out a little bit, so we're not all at the 2 or 3 time slots, so people can have and view more games. I think would be really smart. The Leagues Cup, that's been problematic, right? For the Mexican sides having these, call them camps in the U.S. where they're staying in a certain hub for a little while. Now the travel, be midweek, so it'll be through that tournament, and
I'm sure they'll love that.
yeah. But I think what we saw, and they give you all these reasons why they want this interleague play and more games interleague. Reality is, last year during the MLS against MLS teams in Leagues Cup, they didn't draw well. Period. I mean, that's the reality. So we can spin it any way we want. That's why they're doing it. I think it's the tournament suits itself better to having MLS versus Liga MX teams because that's what it's set up to do. So no one wants to watch MLS versus MLS. You do that during the season when it means something, right? So the more they can do that, the better off they'll be. The fans will be, the crowds will be bigger. The enthusiasm in those games is always a lot of fun. So I think that's clearly why they're going to it.
Chuck, one thing I didn't mention about Leagues Cup, there's going to be 18 MLS teams and 18 Liga MX teams. That means there's going to be 12 MLS teams that will not be involved with Leagues Cup. And apparently, I don't know, they're getting relegated to the Open Cup. I don't know how it's going to work. You guys aren't good enough. You're going to play in the Open Cup, which is a shame because I love the Open Cup. I think it should have preference over the Leagues Cup, but we both know that's not going to happen. I love that. I got nothing else to add.
No, I got nothing else to add. No, it is tough right now in terms of like figuring out what's the grand plan, right? Because I think this Leagues Cup took a major knock this edition, right? Because if the Liga MX president is coming out and saying, you know what, there's no more pauses and we're playing midweek, it made it seem like he realized there's not a big benefit for Liga MX teams. And now we're not pausing the season, and teams will rotate, and it is what it is. And it feels like MLS teams are like, we see the positives. Obviously, it's lucrative for players and for clubs if they win, but ultimately, it stretches teams. You're playing unnecessary matches, and if you're looking at it in the sense of we're trying to get MLS Cup, we want our guys healthy and fresh, and all of a sudden now you're playing in this tournament and we're traveling. So it is it's tough to figure out in the end what's going to happen with US Open Cup, with Leagues Cup, and are they going to come to finally a consensus of, all right, let's build up this US Open Cup and make it a monster, or is it going to just continue to be this back and forth?
Right.
It has a CONCACAF Champions League feel to it, right? It's just like you play midweek in Champions League, and quite honestly, I think over the course of the last 10 years, it's been dominated by Mexican and MLS teams, with Mexican teams generally winning. We've won a couple of them now, but I think that's probably the feel that they're going for right now. I just like to see us travel to Mexico. I really would like to see our team
That's how we're going to get better.
There.
I agree.
I'm with you.
How many teams would want to do that? That is a great.
I would have loved it. Though.
Yeah, but as many teams that want for Mexican teams that want to come to the U.S. It's the same thing, right?
It's vice versa, right? I get it, but at the same time, it changes the whole scenario.
Is there a way though where you could incentivize where you finish in the regular season, right? I feel like we want to continue to put as much weight on the MLS regular season as possible. I appreciate that if you're the team with the best record and you get to MLS Cup final, you get to host that, right? Or you could probably host all the games along the way, which I appreciate, right? So they've figured out mechanisms to make the regular season matter. If you really want to start putting more weight on Leagues Cup, I agree with you though, Tones. Having games in Mexico is where our players, our teams are just going to get better. Like you're actually going to grow with that. Not to say that they can't play in different opposition from Mexico midweek, but at home, it's just different. And it feels like it's still built for you to have success.
I gave you my solution last time, and I kind of refined it in my head. I said, the top 9 teams in each league,
exactly,
they stay home. I kind of revised it a little bit because then it would be 3 times traveling. Maybe the top 9 teams, if you have a 3-team sort of bracket, right?
Yeah.
You host 2 and you travel once.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then if you're one of the bottom 9 teams, you travel twice and you play home once.
Yeah.
Against. There's got to be a way. Look, there's a lot of people sitting in that competition committee trying to figure out different schemes. There's got to be a way to have us travel there. If not, the expectation when we go for CONCACAF Champions League, the teams that lose in Mexico, you never played down there. Like you won't be in such awe when you go down there to play. You won't feel like you're getting suffocated by the altitude and the fans and all that. You just have to do it.
He needs to grow.
There's always an excuse though. Like if you're a Mexican team, you're like, well, we don't play any games at home, so it doesn't feel like a fair and true competition. If
it's always favoring the MLS teams. Also, Izzy in the comments, spot on. We need bigger rosters and deeper rosters.
Yes.
That's a different conversation.
Right.
Yeah,
100%.
It's intertwined, though. It's intertwined because if we want to be competitive in multiple competitions, the CONCACAF Champions Cup, Open Cup, Leagues Cup, MLS regular, so you got to raise it. You got to raise the floor on your spending.
I feel like Steve Trundle has been the biggest advocate since he came into the league about the rosters, right? And he's been the biggest guy, like the most vocal guy that I can think of that talks about rosters all the time because his team clearly they're playing a lot of games, they're getting to finals, and he's always talking about how we got to expand these rosters, and we've expanded. Jimmy, you were talking earlier about when we started. Like, think about the rosters then and playing in CONCACAF competitions back then. I mean, there was no like, hey, Jimmy, take a rest. We're going. No, there wasn't that.
There was 18-man roster. You had
rest. What does that mean? So, but that needs to happen for sure.
Yeah, one thing of note in the schedule, I don't know if Leo Messi's coming to a market near you. If you're in the Eastern Conference, he definitely will, assuming he's not hurt. But he is making one trip to the West Coast. And that is on May 14th in the middle of the week after playing in Minnesota. And I wonder, Minnesota's got a grass field. San Jose Earthquakes are getting a game. PayPal Park. Dude, those tickets are already going for over $500 now since the thing has dropped. And that is going to be banging. I've already put my name in for a credential for that one. Middle of the week, though. And I'm excited. It's the only time he'll be on the West Coast in MLS regular season. Maybe it happens in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Will he be on the West Coast?
I don't know.
Here you go. I mean, what's further away from, I guess, Vancouver, right? From Miami.
Yeah. But that's turf, right? He didn't want to play on that one because it's turf.
Right. You got Portland, you got Portland, Seattle, and
he's not going to either one of those markets. That's
the closest grass field or the furthest grass field away from Inter Miami Stadium midweek.
I know. I'm
just saying,
not
Jim.
holding my breath that he's going to be there, but I'm hopeful.
Messi coming to New England July 9th.
Yeah, I'm sure he loves the football lines and turf. I'm sure he loves every second of that.
He scored a brace last time. My man was balling.
Yeah, well, speaking of the Earthquakes, Bruce Arena, the new head coach for the Quakes, is going to be on Morning Footy tomorrow. That should be very cool to hear from Bruce. He obviously trying to help the Quakes. They won the wooden spoon last year. For those that don't know what the wooden spoon is, you get that as a reward for being the worst team in the league. It's hard to win the wooden spoon. You have to work really hard to win the wooden spoon, and the Quakes have done that. So Bruce has got his work cut out for him. But knowing Bruce like we do, it's not going to take him long to flip things around.
Give me your best Bruce. Jimmy, what are we going to hear from him tomorrow?
Didn't we already do this like a couple weeks ago? I feel like.
Yeah, but I want to hear what he's going to say tomorrow. We'll see. Give me his line.
Man, I got to get into my Bruce. Hey, Chuck. Hey, get a load of this. They want to give me Brandon Vasquez, but the guy wants $5 million. You know, how's that? Tell us, how was it?
That was awesome, man. That was
I know
if I close my eyes, Jim, you know what I've been thinking. What his favorite start of his line his since I was in college, his favorite beginning of a sentence was to me. No. Hey, numbnuts. Get over here.
I love that. That's peak Bruce.
And then I knew, like, oh, here we go. This is not going to be good.
For me, Bruce is the best and the best coach that we've produced in America on the men's side, for sure. Obviously, a big conversation on the women's side. But Chuck, how long did it take him to turn around the Revolution, and how long do you think it'll take him to get the Quakes where they need to be?
Instantly. He turned it around instantly.
Do you think the Quakes make the playoffs? Top 9 teams in the Western Conference? I think he's got it in his bag. I think he'll do it.
You know what? If it was like 6, I'd say hell no. But 9, not so many damn teams get in at 9. He's got a shot. He's got a real shot.
I think so too.
But they were so bad last year that I don't know if
But he's already made moves. For me, some of the moves he's already made. He's shed some of the dead weight. He's not signing some of the guys. He's brought in a couple guys from New England that know how he wants to play.
But the Revs had good pieces. They had Carlos Seal. They had Matt Turner.
Of course.
They had Gustavo Bo. They had players.
You got Espinosa.
But he doesn't really have like a solid spine. He doesn't have a Carlos Seal or a Matt Turner in that team. So
he's got some work to do.
He's got a lot of work to do.
And
I'm not going to say it's impossible.
I
don't think he went there without the promise of spending some money. They're going to spend some money, and they haven't spent any money. Well, they actually they spent money on what's his name, Jim, that came in last year.
Diego Maradona's nephew, or what can I think of his name
the
right
kid
now?
who came in last year, actually pretty good player, right? And
he is good. He is good. It's just a matter of getting him the ball in good spots without him having to do a lot of extra running, right? Well, you and I have talked about this with Preki. When you have somebody that's that talented on the ball, you don't want him to waste any energy defending. You want to get them the ball in good spots and let them do their thing. So, ultimately, I understand. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But I think they'll make the playoffs. I'll put my flag in the ground and say that they do it. I don't know. I don't know how much money I'd put on it, but I think they got a shot. Hernan Lopez.
Lopez. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
6 goals and 2 assists in 22 starts last year. Christian Espinosa, 4 goals, 12 assists in 34 games last year. You got to get him the ball in good spots. He's really dynamic as well. And I wonder where Bruce tries to get him. Sometimes he gets stuck on the sideline, and I don't feel like somebody of his talent needs to be stuck on the sideline. So can you get him a little bit more central and involved? Anyway, we don't need to make this a Quakes podcast, but I do have high hopes for my former team. Hopefully Messi will be playing against them on May 14th. If you're going to that game, I'll be there too, and that should be a lot of fun. All right, we're heading into our last block. We're going to take our next break. We're going to talk about Americans abroad, Tim Weah getting hurt, and then obviously looking ahead to some big games this weekend. Do not go anywhere.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Welcome back in to the stretch run to call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Tony Meola. And first things first, let's go back before we look forward. We have Johnny Cardoso scored his second goal for Real Betis, the winner against HJK Helsinki in the Europa Conference League. Chuck, you were watching this game. Good high press, good alertness from him. Dribbles the goalkeeper, slots it in. He almost got run over by his striker who wanted to get the goal instead.
My former teammate, Cedric Bakambu.
That was your guy?
Oh, yeah. He was like, but he would have been offside, which would have been a complete botch of the press.
That would have been
Cardoso.
Yeah.
I like that he read that play and had the presence of mind to go around the keeper, good soft feet, good touches, and then finish the play and used his left forearm to fend off his teammate who was trying to steal the goal. So job well done. And they got the 1-0 win. It was pretty comfortable. I think Real Betis are one of those teams who plays down to their opposition and they play up when they play, like for instance, when they drew Barcelona 2-2. So this team has had some injuries. They weren't performing it. Now it seems like they're starting to turn it around.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm a big Manuel Pellegrini guy. I think he does well. He's a good manager, and I'm excited that he trusts Johnny ultimately with getting him to play and obviously being a key factor.
Rafa, strikers. I see Rafa Cardenas in the chat. He said Bakambu barely separated. Of course, my man's trying to score. He's trying to get on the score sheet.
You got that bonus, the goal bonus. He's trying to get.
That goal bonus can be nice sometimes.
I love it. Also, we heard that we'll go to Serie A. Not only is Christian Pulisic out through 2025, Tim Weah, you mentioned it in our private chat on WhatsApp, Big Tones, that after he came on with the 81st minute for Juve, then kind of grabbing his hamstring at the end. Apparently, he is going to be got to shut down until 2025. Weah Musah sidelined for the rest of 2024. Yeah, these our guys in Italy are breaking down over there.
Yeah, the Weah one, that happened on that last little dribble right at the end of the game. And then I texted it to you right away. There was one shot of him, and he was just walking towards Conceição holding his hamstring. And I'm like, and then you saw Conceição kind of ask him, like, hey, what's going on type of thing. And that's not good. But again, it's one of those moments, right, when you're in and out and in and out, and you come in at the end of the game. So hopefully he's okay. It doesn't sound like it's a long thing. The Musah thing doesn't sound like it's long. Pulisic sounds like he'll be back in January. So, I mean, look, hopefully we see all these guys, right, at SoFi in, what is that, March, third week of March?
Yeah. It also doesn't help when Jimmy says 2025. It makes it seem like it's 10 months down the road.
I'm trying to add drama.
You're adding drama. When you say, hey, Christian's out till 2025, I'm like, damn, this is going to be, it's 2 weeks. It's like, chill. Just say 2 weeks, January, early January.
I love it. Okay, fine. Early January. Just a few weeks. These guys are going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. There's nothing to get upset about, like our goalkeeper situation.
But yeah, I think Jimmy. Sorry, but what it shows us is like why we need depth at all of these positions, right? Because the reality is you're probably not going to go to a World Cup with all your, let's call them your best 22 players. Very few teams do, right? So it's important that Johnny Cardoso, who, by the way, was on Pochettino's starting lineup before he gets hurt, right? And we got this competition brewing, right? Tyler Adams coming back into the mix. Tanner Tessman, we were talking about. Does Musah play in there? Probably not. He plays. So does McKinney play in the middle of the field? Johnny Cardoso is part of this. Aiden Morris was part of this for a while before he got hurt. Like there's a real competition. Tyler and Weston and those guys clearly are the leaders there, but you need all of these other guys, right? You need them all to be playing well and getting minutes, because you never know what's going to happen to any of these guys.
No, great shout on that. And yes, depth is super important. Another player I want to talk about, Ricardo Pepi, scored 2 goals against the 3rd division side in the Dutch Cup, the KNVB Cup. They won 8-0. I do want to make a correction to the last show. I said that Ricardo Pepi didn't play against Heerenveen when they lost 1-0 this past weekend. He did. He came on the 67th minute and played the last 23 minutes. Couldn't find.
Didn't start, though.
Didn't start, which I think is still
it's
important.
Like Peter Bosch, give it up. The guy's, he's just
I know.
starting now.
Listen, Pepi has 10 goal contributions since the beginning of November. Luke de Jong has 1. Pepi has 8 goals and 2 assists. And over that same time, in less minutes than Luke de Jong.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time. PSV, listen up.
What's happening? Ernie Stewart, let's go tell Peter Bosch what's up and get Ricardo Pepi some more valuable minutes. They take on Feyenoord this Sunday, and it'll be their last game until they take their winter break until January 11th. So
that's a nice little winter break.
That is a nice winter break. And he better get after it. We better be seeing Ricardo Pepi in this game in a meaningful way, not just giving him throwaway minutes at the end when you should have started Luke de Jong.
Jimmy, do you think he could potentially be moved in January?
So
like if a big
aren't there
enough
some rumors swirling that there's been a $20 million offer that I've seen circulating around the World Wide Web?
Yeah, but do you see him moving in January?
No,
or do you
I don't
see
think
him saying, you know what,
no.
I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm going to stick it out. And
it'd have to be the situation, though, Chuck, right?
Right.
If you were going to go and it was like to Augsburg, like he did the Bundesliga, you got to be a
Hell
situation.
no.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If it's like that, then no, of course. But you want to be playing as well. I could see him potentially making a move in the summer. If he can maintain this consistency of having a lot of goal contributions and making the most of his minutes, and when he does start, he's really impactful. I think that's what teams want to see.
I think La Liga would be fantastic for him.
Yeah, where do you Tones? Where do you think would be a good destination?
Would you have a problem if he stayed there to the World Cup? I wouldn't, because I think eventually.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying that's what I was getting to. Instead of going to a place where you're going to battle, you might not be in Champions League. Here, he's going to be at a place that's going to battle for a title. If he becomes the man, right? Then I think it makes sense to stay. Now, of course, I always give this caveat. Like, if you're going to go make a boatload of money someplace, I would never begrudge you to do that.
If he went to Saudi Arabia, you wouldn't be mad.
If he makes a decision to go to no, I wouldn't be. Like I say this, Charlie. Guys who make a decision for money, like who am I to tell you not to do it, right? It might not look great from a sporting perspective, but I'm like, I don't live in your shoes.
Yeah. Right.
And you know what I mean? But my point is, if he became the man there and was the starter, just say you reverse the roles even. Luke de Jong is playing the minutes that Ricardo Pepi did. then you now all of a sudden you're in a position where you're battling for the league. You're starting in all the time for your club. You're going to be in Champions League. Like that's what we talk about wanting for all of these guys. And then after the World Cup, you go and you get your bag of money and you do what you have to do. I'd hate to see him make a move to play the same number of minutes,
right?
That he's playing now.
Yeah, it's like Matt Turner. You just can't. Also, right. Serginho Dest is back in training, right? So that's a positive.
Let's say we're seeing some comments in the chat, and I don't know what happened to my voice. Everybody's gonna have to deal with it. I got really nice and raspy over here. But if he went to the Premier League, where or what situation, what team would you like to see him go to? Resident number 9, Charlie Davies. Because you have. I'm trying to look at maybe Everton.
Let me throw a scenario at you.
No, Everton doesn't play. So
that's what I mean.
You don't want him to go to Southampton, Wolves, Ipswich Town, Leicester City, Everton. All right, Crystal Palace, they have too many strikers. So that's not going to happen. West Ham also, actually right now that I look at it, I'm going to tell you, there's not a place I'd tell him to go to the Premier League.
But isn't it scary though?
It'd be the same situation. He'd be sitting.
But I'm thinking Josie Altidore, right? Like you go to the Premier League, you get your money, and you go to a place that hardly attacks. Like you hardly get the ball, right? Or like Josh Sargent when he was at Norwich and they get promoted to the Premier League. Like they hardly attacked. He played in his half of the field the entire time. I'd prefer him to go to a place where they're attacking and he's getting opportunities. And if not, you got to go to Manchester City or you got to go to Liverpool or you go to, the big teams, which is not happening. And
I could see him at Bournemouth. I could see him at Bournemouth. Bournemouth would be a good spot for him.
How about Brentford?
These teams,
they attack.
Yeah, they do.
But they have two strikers right now in Bomo and Visa, and who knows if they just want to go with those two. I mean, Thomas Frank, he's capable of playing
situation
with 3, but I just look at that Premier League and I'm like, you know what? If a team's not really playing, it's just not a good spot to be in. If you have a couple bad games, next thing you know, you're just in a fight where they're launching long balls. They expect you to create these magic moments out of nothing, and
that's what I'm talking about.
Set pieces. Yeah. No, that's not a good spot for him.
But if we extrapolate what he could do, if I'm a top club, I'm only looking at him very similarly to how PSV's looking at him.
Okay.
Which is,
you want me to give you a good? Want me to give you a good spot?
But if he goes to a mid-table team, it doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna play, right? That's a really delicate balance. Go ahead. Here, I set you up nicely, Chuck. Take it away.
You did. So if you did go to a mid-tier team, I mean Bournemouth is a little bit higher than that, and same with Aston Villa. But Real Sociedad, which is known for developing talent, they have only 16 goals scored for this season. They're not playing well in the attacking third. They don't have a real goal scorer. Real Sociedad, they play football. That would be a place for him to go and thrive. I mean, I could see Takefusa Kubo feeding him balls in behind and playing 1-2s like that. That's an exciting place to go. And you play European competition. Like that's a team that's typically always competing for 4th, 5th, 6th in the Liga.
Tones, do you have a team?
I see Alex Caven saying Real Sociedad only go for Basque players. Was Alexander Sorloth a Basque player? Was Odegaard a Basque player?
Chuck 1, everybody else 0.
Come on, Alex.
I got him.
The hammer just came down.
That's athletic. Athletic is that.
All right, that was a little trigger right there. Sorry, Alex. You didn't.
Well, how about Fulham in the Premier League? If Raul Jimenez moves on, how about Fulham in the Premier League?
Yeah, that'd be a good shout. I like Marco Silva. I think he's a good manager as well.
Yeah, they're playing.
They try to play. Right, they try to play.
So he'd have to play over CONCACAF rival Raul Jimenez. So that would be
Fulham would be a good one.
Yeah, but what if he's not playing and Raul Jimenez plays every match? Then
that would
you're looking at it really, like, probably a bad move. Right. Well, I think he's got to go to a place that's in need of a striker that doesn't even have a real striker, and a team that's really starving for goals. So, that's one of the places where I say, okay, La Liga is a great league for him to develop, because ultimately, how do we want Ricardo Pepi to evolve? And for me, it's playing in tight spaces and getting used to combinations, because we know he's good in space. When he makes those runs, his timing is great. But I want him to continue to develop the other parts of his game. And I think La Liga, because of the style of the league, I think it would suit him very well to be very comfortable with both feet, knowing when to turn, knowing when to play 1-2s. That, for me, would be a place where he could sharpen his skills.
Okay, I think what's interesting, too, is I'm looking at Real Sociedad's European schedule. Excuse me. They're playing the Europa League. So they got Nice, Anderlecht, Victoria Pilsen, Ajax, Lazio are some of the names. Then I go to PSV's, and they're in the Champions League. They take it on Juventus, Sporting, PSG, Girona, Shakhtar Donetsk, Liverpool, Red Star Belgrade. I mean, it's interesting that we want him to go somewhere where maybe the domestic league is going to be challenging him more on a weekly basis. But the European stuff that PSV finds himself in, or find themselves in, is pretty competitive. And I wouldn't want him to miss out on that as well. So I don't know. I'm a little
and
torn.
Always do, right? And they're always in that competition, right? They're always they're always qualifying, right? For Champions League and Europa League and all that stuff. So you're going to be battling at the top. I'd love personally to get to the end of this year, and I don't mean 24, I mean the end of the season. I'd love to see Ricardo Pepi be the starter at PSV. Like, I'd love to see that we get to that point, because then you're seeing real progress from him.
All right, 2 other games I want to mention. We have Wolfsburg versus Borussia Dortmund happening this weekend. I'm on Gio Reyna watch. Will he start again? Will he get some valuable minutes if he doesn't start? That's what I'm looking for in that particular game. And then similarly, I want to go over to the Premier League, Bournemouth and Tyler Adams in particular, because he came on against West Ham with about 20-something minutes left. Will he get a start now? Is he being evaluated in a way where, okay, he's ready to go for 90 minutes? They're taking on Manchester United at Old Trafford. So those are the 2 games that I'll be watching for from the U.S. men's national team perspective. Of those 2 games, which player are you most curious to watch? Or if you want to add in another game, Chuck, I'll come to you first. What are you thinking on our player pool? Who do you like in?
Yeah, I like the idea of Gio Reyna getting more minutes. And if, Nuri Sahin is really going to give him the opportunity to play and develop and, earn his minutes, which it seems like he has. I mean, he's had to take humble pie to infinity and build himself back up, and dealing with injuries. And it's been a tough couple of years for Gio Reyna, I think, to put it lightly. And so that forces you to change and evolve and grow. And that's one player who we don't have a carbon copy of. There is no clone for what he gives the U.S. men's national team. So yes, I'd like to see him continue to play and get minutes, so that come March, he gets a real opportunity to say, hey, Pochettino, I'm in your plans. And what does that look like if Weston and Christian and Tyler are all playing, and Weah Musah, what's the plan? Where does he fit in? And then, Tyler Adams just continuing to play. It seems like they're being very cautious with his minutes, and starting him a couple of games, and resting him, and I like it. So they have a great approach. It seems like our players are really starting to pick it up.
And we're getting beat up a little bit in the championship, Jimmy, right? We got a lot of injuries. You got Haji Wright out. You got Aiden Morris out. You got Josh Sargent.
What'd you expect?
Well, also, Serie A, though, we have maybe Weston McKennie's the only one available this weekend.
In Serie A, he's the only one.
Busio, Venezia.
Oh, Busio,
yeah. So, and they take on Cagliari. Venezia does. Milan is away to Verona tomorrow, and then Juve is away to Monza. So not the greatest of games, but obviously we want to see minutes for our players and them obviously contributing in a meaningful way. All right, I'm going to call it a show, but I want to give some final thoughts before we let everybody go. Yeah. I'm calling just a little bit earlier than usual, but I wanted to give a shout out before we go to Becky Sauerbrunn, U.S. Women's National Team stalwart defender, 19-year career, one of the best defenders that this country has ever produced. And from one center back to another, I bow down to your greatness. You've had a hell of a career, and I know you're going to have a hell of a career in whatever you do next and whatever you choose to do. And I know you're going to give back to the game in a meaningful way. So I look forward to seeing what that looks like. But shout out to Becky Sauerbrunn. Any shout outs?
A true leader. True leader.
Unreal. And Her presence, I think, was felt at times when she wasn't available for the women's national team and for her club team, the Portland Thorns. But yeah, what a career. She has a lot to be proud of, and shout out to her. Any final thoughts for you guys? Do you want to end on Becky? Tones, I'll come to you.
I'll just, if you don't mind, I'll jump on that one a little bit. Yes, her career was incredible. She was a stud at what she did, by all accounts, both on and off the field, the way she was a leader. And we can only hope that people like her stay in the game and continue to give. I'm guessing she's going to stay in the game. She's not going anywhere. She hadn't made that announcement yet, but that she stays in and just continues to inspire and teach. And we were better off for having her on the field. And what a champion she was.
Oh, good luck following that up, Chuck. What do you got?
Yeah,
really well said.
For me, that we were never going to go off a different topic once you brought up Becky. But,
yeah, it's fair.
When I think of her, I always think of consistency. There was never a drop off, and in terms of being a leader, not only on the pitch, like organizing and putting out fires, but it felt like off the pitch, she just had that most important voice. It wasn't a voice that you heard all the time. But when she did speak, it was like, it was the word. It was something that everyone looked at her and said, hey, she's pointing us in the right direction. She's always looking out for the best interest of the team. And so I think, her presence will be missed for sure, but I would expect her to stay around the game as well.
The one of the biggest compliments I think I could pay her is that when she got hurt right before the 2023 Women's World Cup, I thought her lack of leadership and presence for that particular tournament, you could tell how much we missed her presence in both on and off the field. And we didn't obviously have a very good tournament by our standards, obviously. The women's national team, absolutely awesome. All right, that's it. Calling it a show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, hit like and subscribe. Vote for us, please. Hit that QR code at the top right. We want to win a trophy of some sort, because that would be nice.
Get that QR code right there.
Right there. It's right there by Chuck. Go make that happen.
It's right here.
If you're listening to this on your podcast platform of choice, go find the link in the description. It probably has all the info. I'm sure it does. I know it does. And that's it. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on the other side of it. Later.
Have a great weekend.